Hurricane Maria was one of the worst natural disasters in Puerto Rican history.
The storm is heading straight for the island.
The hurricane caused $90 billion in damage.
4,600 people died because of little access to power or medical care.
Now, even though the island is part of the United States, the federal response was smaller and slower than its response to mainland Hurricane Harvey barely a month earlier. Now, this lopsided relief effort has further strained the relationship between the U.S. and its territory, coming to a head in the very public standoff between President Trump and the mayor of San Juan.
We have done an incredible job, considering there's absolutely nothing to work with.
Mr. Trump, do your job. Lives are at stake. This is not about politics.
So we sent Isabel Young to Puerto Rico to see the political fallout that Hurricane Maria has wrought there.
It's a very painstaking job in the sense that there is no way of doing this except walking through the community.
Months after Hurricane Maria hit, many communities in Puerto Rico still lay in ruins. Official figures put Maria's death toll at 64, but a recent study says it was over 4,500. We joined the mayor of San Juan, Carmen Yulín Cruz, to see some of the hundreds of thousands affected.
Oh, shit. Oh, look at here, the mark, that the water got up to here. FEMA vino a inspeccionar.
Sí.
Entonces no te dieron nada. They didn't give her any aid.
No.
It took the federal government a long time for them to realize that this was a humanitarian crisis. Mr. Trump was giving himself a 10.
How would you grade the White House response so far?
I'd say it was a 10.
Rather than walking out here, he didn't walk. He threw paper towels at us and he thought that was funny.
President Trump did visit Puerto Rico 2 weeks after the storm, but not before launching a Twitter war.
Such poor leadership ability by the mayor of San Juan and others in Puerto Rico who are not able to get their workers to help.
While the American people have had a big heart, President Trump has had a big mouth.
I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you've thrown our budget a little out of whack.
You know, he's sort of like a miscommunicator in chief.
Obviously, you've been pretty vocal in terms of your criticisms of the federal government's response to the hurricane, but given the scale of the devastation here, how would you rate their response overall?
Really? Shitty. It's not a good response.
I mean, they have provided aid and support, though.
That's their duty. Just like people in Houston, just like people in California, just like people in Florida, just like people in New York. You help, and you help to make sure that everybody's okay. Haiti is a few miles from us, and Haiti received a lot more help, and they have nothing to do with the United States.
Why is it that Puerto Ricans are owed particular support and help from the U.S.?
We got the U.S. citizenship. We were invaded in 1898. We were ceded as a spoils of war, the Spanish-American War, and we were given in 1917 the American citizenship by birth, just in time to be drafted for World War I. So ever since then, Puerto Ricans have died in every conflict. So we have paid the ultimate price.
How has the federal government's response highlighted to you the relationship between Puerto Rico and the mainland?
We are a colony of the United States. And in a situation like this, the knowledge that we are a colony has been heightened. We can no longer hide our poverty and our inequality and the discrimination that takes place in Puerto Rico behind beautiful palm trees and piña coladas. No, it's there raw for us to see.
Puerto Rico is an unincorporated territory of the United States, meaning its residents are American citizens but can't vote for the president and don't have full representation in Congress. The US government is responsible for emergency relief there, but its reaction to Hurricane Maria paled in comparison to its recent responses on the mainland. The aftermath has had 3 major consequences. Firstly, Puerto Rico is facing a mass exodus, and it's projected that nearly 500,000 residents will have left by the end of next year. That's nearly 15% of the entire Puerto Rican population.
After Maria, there was a boom, an incredible boom that we've never experienced before. We have lines of maybe 50 people at a time waiting outside to be able to get serviced inside.
Wow.
This container is being filled to Orlando.
Right.
And this was picked up yesterday going to Orlando.
In the 51 years that you've had this family business for, have you ever seen it this busy?
After the hurricane, no. All our offices were affected. Had lines running out the door. We didn't have enough people to take care of everybody. We extended our hours because people were driving from far away to reach us. So truthfully, no, Maria really affected us.
In general, social services are affected, and that's one of the reasons people are moving?
Still a lot of areas without power, without public transportation, without proper hospitals. Everything is affected.
More than 13,000 homes across Puerto Rico are still without basic services like electricity and water, leaving it to the residents to take matters into their own hands. What's the work that your uncle's doing here now?
Él está poniendo luz en la comunidad.
Is this what you do for a living? You work in the electricity field?
No, yo nunca había tocado nada de eso. Nunca había bregado con corriente. Tengo miedo a la corriente y a la altura. Todos los vecinos aportan para comprar las piezas, a comprar todo. La compramos el camión con ese dinero.
Were you surprised that this long after the hurricane hit that you guys still don't have electricity in your village?
Es de esperarse porque el gobierno aquí no ha dado mucha ayuda, ¿sí ves?
The emergency continues, with the Puerto Rican power outage now the second largest in world history. The effects are clear across the island.
Miguel, 4 más 3.
It's really quite impressive how these teachers are making do with what they've got. There's no electricity, their school days have been cut in half, and somehow they're struggling on. It's quite dark in here. I mean, it must be even hard for these kids to read or do basic things.
No es lo mismo tener un salón claro a un salón oscuro, que los niños no puedan ver para escribir y para hacer sus tareas. Al igual que en sus hogares, que no tienen luz ahora mismo, les afecta mucho.
Henna Cease, a student here, invited us home with her. Why is it that you're leaving school so early?
Porque no hay luz. Que como salimos a las 12, pues me pongo aburrida en casa y a las 3 es mejor, porque puedo coger toda la materia.
So this is your home?
Yes. El zinc, pues se fue volando, el de esquí. La cuna de mi hermano casi se estaba rompiendo. La cocina, había un zinc tirado.
How do you feel about President Trump's response to what happened here in Puerto Rico?
Pues muy negativa porque ese hombre es racista y nunca nos va a ayudar. Él odia a casi todo el mundo.
Do you think that your kids have a future here in Puerto Rico?
Pues es difícil porque uno quiere que los hijos de uno estudien en las escuelas pues no hay agua, no hay luz. Es duro porque uno quiere tener lo mejor para los hijos de uno y al uno tratar y no poder, pues se ve uno como acorralado. If we stay here, they're never gonna have a better future.
Discontent and frustration among those who've stayed has led to another major consequence. Rising momentum behind the idea that Puerto Rico doesn't need the US at all. Independence activist Jocelyn Velázquez gets the word out at marches like this one, where residents are protesting the policies of their very pro-US governor. Do you think that Hurricane Maria has impacted the level of faith that people are putting in the government?
Sí, la gente está frustrada, está cansada, está agotada del gobierno, de su incompetencia, de su corrupción, de su falta de compromiso con el pueblo.
Anger towards US interference has been growing for years, since Puerto Rico declared bankruptcy and Washington imposed austerity measures. Independence supporters call the unelected Fiscal Control Board colonialist and worry it will only worsen the already 44% poverty rate. In terms of your group, what are you after? What do you want for Puerto Rico?
Lo que pasa es que nosotros necesitamos el poder para tomar las decisiones sobre lo que pasa en nuestro país. Si no tenemos ese poder, es imposible que tomemos las decisiones que nos convienen a nosotros. Nosotros tenemos un país que decide por nosotros y que decide lo que le conviene a ese país y no lo que necesariamente nos conviene a nosotros.
But do you really think that Puerto Rico can cope without any federal funding?
Sí, estoy convencida.
But while some support this idea, a recent referendum suggested that far more Puerto Ricans favor the opposite approach. The third major consequence of the hurricane has been a renewed push for Puerto Rican statehood. The current governor and his new Progressive Party have spearheaded the effort, but it hasn't yet found any traction in Congress. We sat down with a key advocate, State Senator Carmelo Rios. Do you believe that Hurricane Maria has been a catalyst and driven support for statehood?
Yes, we didn't have 2 senators or 5 congressmen or women to represent us. And we had to kind of rent democracy, that's what I call it. But you have to go out and say, hey, can you be my congressman for a day? Can you be my champion? Can you make this happen? And can you make sure that we get fair treatment?
Why do you believe that Puerto Rico becoming its own state is the only solution to this island's woes?
Well, I didn't ask for it. I'm a citizen of the United States. My dad served in the military. We fight the same wars. We pay taxes and no representation. I went to school in the States. I voted for the president of the United States as a citizen, full rights. Something happened 33,000 feet up in the air when I landed in my homeland, Puerto Rico, that I lost all those rights. So it comes to an issue of civil rights. Isn't that what this country is all about?
In theory, in an idealistic world, yes. However, it would be a huge financial burden on the US. Why would they agree to it?
We're no different from other states that are having budget issues. Why they haven't kicked out Detroit out of the, out of the union?
What's at stake here if the US continues to reject the idea of Puerto Rico's statehood?
Let's say President Trump says no, and Congress, the Republican Congress says no. Well, maybe we probably have to organize people like we are doing right now in all the states and telling Latinos to get out and vote and change the perspective of what politics is all about. We are an issue that the United States have to deal with. They cannot go around saying they're the cup of the world, but you deny rights to 3.2 million. So that's why it's so important to define ourselves. After Maria, we have getting the attention that we deserve in order to fix what is broken. I'm saying, whether we're in, we're out.